In 2023, Pakistan recorded the second worst air quality index on the planet. Citizens inhaled particulate matter at 14.7 times the World Health Organization's recommended guideline. Surviving physical impacts on this scale necessitates a massive mobilization of industrial capital. Between 2023 and 2030, Pakistan's climate response requires $348 billion, roughly 11% of cumulative GDP. The current reality of capital flow is represented by this smaller block. In 2021, total climate investment reached only $4 billion. 84% of that funding came from international sources. These institutions require clear, credible signals before deploying funds into a transition. The $344 billion gap persists because investors lack a standardized, globally trusted mechanism to verify that an activity delivers genuine environmental returns. The State Bank of Pakistan addressed this through the Pakistan Green Taxonomy 2025 edition. A green taxonomy is a science-based classification system. It provides the financial market with a standardized language for what constitutes a green investment. The taxonomy acts as a rigorous algorithmic filter. It replaces subjective claims with objective categories for economic activities based on scientific evidence. We are mapping the mechanical sequence an asset must clear under this framework to achieve formal alignment. This process converts environmental promises into objective data that institutional capital can analyze with confidence. The evaluation begins at the eligibility node. The entire framework rests on 7 environmental objectives, ranging from water protection to circular economy practices. The 2025 edition prioritizes the first 2, climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. An asset is considered taxonomy eligible when its sector and specific activity appear on the taxonomy's approved lists. This status is an entry point for consideration, rather than a final stamp of approval. To reach financial alignment, the asset must now pass a 3-part sustainability test. The asset moves to the substantial contribution test, which requires proof of a measurable impact on a primary objective. For high-emission sectors like energy and transport, the taxonomy evaluates 55 priority activities using a traffic light matrix. The green tier indicates the activity operates at near-zero emissions or aligns with a 1.5-degree global warming pathway. The amber tier recognizes hard-to-abate sectors currently in transition. Amber status carries strict conditions. It requires short-term emission cuts tied to Pakistan's 2030 climate targets and includes sunset dates where the status expires. This amber tier provides a pragmatic pathway for heavy industry, forcing these sectors onto a credible trajectory toward green operations. Rigid numerical thresholds are difficult to apply to complex sectors like agriculture and tourism, which affect multiple environmental objectives at once. For these sectors, the taxonomy identifies 101 specific operational practices. The logic shifts to a practice-based approach. The algorithm uses a 3-step staircase, grading activities from basic to intermediate and advanced. This allows conventional systems to be classified and guided toward climate-resilient operations over time. Clearing Gate 1 requires an asset to meet either strict quantifiable thresholds or rigorous qualitative practice upgrades. The investment data node then advances to the DNSH tollgate. The Do No Significant Harm rule prevents an activity from claiming credit for one objective while damaging another. In this schematic, a solar plant is sited inside a protected wetland. It passes the mitigation test, but it is rejected here. The project fails the biodiversity and water resource tests, negating its carbon benefits. The taxonomy applies these boundaries across all projects, requiring pollution prevention and the integration of circular economy principles. This gate ensures that fixing a carbon problem does not create a water or biodiversity crisis. The asset finally arrives at the minimum social safeguards gate. Here, the scrutiny moves from the physical project to the corporate entity responsible for it. The entity must demonstrate compliance with labor rights, occupational health and safety, and gender equality standards. These safeguards are based on Pakistani law and international human rights standards, including the prevention of modern slavery. A project's environmental performance is disregarded if the corporation building it fails to meet core social and governance norms. We can now see the decision engine as a single mechanism. The data node clears all 3 mandatory filters. The final output is a verified taxonomy-aligned asset. Missing the requirements of even one gate results in immediate disqualification from aligned status. Taxonomy-eligible status identifies an asset's potential, while taxonomy-aligned status confirms its execution. This objective, algorithmic certainty provides the necessary conditions for institutional capital to flow into the market. The 2025 framework serves as an interoperable bedrock, benchmarked directly to G20 principles for sustainable finance. Because the taxonomy is dynamic, the screening criteria will periodically evolve as technology improves and transition costs decrease. The PGT 2025 edition establishes the objective infrastructure needed to de-risk climate investments and filter out superficial claims. International capital will move toward Pakistan's climate transition when green becomes a verified, data-backed technical standard.